Prince's Bride by S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florin. Our favorite pastimes were riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
Nothing gave Buttercup as much pleasure as ordering Wesley around.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
As you wish was all he ever said to her.
Farm boy, fill these with water. Please.
As you wish.
That day, she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, as you wish, what he meant was, I love you. And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Farm boy. Fetch me that pitcher.
Hello everyone, welcome to the JLR Podcast Network. You're listening to the newest episode of What's This? Joining me today is my regular guest, Egill. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. What a fine Friday this is.
Okay, you were lagging there for a moment, but everything seems to be okay now. All right. Fine. Yeah, it's afternoon there, evening here. You know, different time zones, different lifestyles, different... Never mind. Yes. If you're new to this, this is a show where one of us introduces a film to the other one. Then we watch it, not necessarily together, but just by ourselves, and then come back with our own review about the film. So far, the films that have been introduced as good films have received good reviews, and the two films, Rise of Skywalker and Batman vs Superman, that were introduced as not so good films, got really shitty reviews. But
we've agreed every time.
Yeah, most of it.
More
I
or
mean,
less,
the only one that maybe, there was that one with Parasite Gate. It was like kind of like, is that it? Like maybe he thought it was a little bit overhyped, but that was because he watched the film, liked it, then he read all the reviews online, and then he thought it was overrated. So I was like, why? I kind of yelled at him, why are you reading reviews? You're supposed to do a review with me, not with other.
Yeah.
Not with
exactly.
other reviews. Anyways, that was that. So we were talking a little bit about a certain film, then you started mentioning another film, and I said, just, by the way, it's Egill's turn to introduce a film to me, and I just said, surprise me, whatever, just let me know which film you want to introduce. So,
Didn't I introduce... Wait, which film did we do last? No, I'm completely...
I introduced Joker to you.
That's right.
That is correct.
Yes.
We did that last time, and
I was thinking.
And when we did that, when we did Joker, I decided to do the so-called Joker trilogy, the Taxi Driver, King of Comedy Joker, the Scorsese New York trilogy. I don't know what to call it. Down in the Muck New Yorkers trilogy.
Yes.
No, I remember when we did that. I watched King of Comedy again, and I thought that has to be a separate show. So
yes.
Next time when I'm introducing film, I will definitely do that one. But yeah, it's your turn. So what are you going to introduce this time?
So I was thinking about it. Like the last two films we watched were Joker and Batman vs Superman, and they're both dark films.
Yeah.
One is sort of Joker is a good film. It's dark. It's got heavy themes.
Mm-hmm.
Batman vs Superman is a train wreck, depressing and dark, edgy.
It's a dark
stuff.
trailer movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I'm in the mood for something more lighthearted.
All right.
So I'm going to recommend, and I want you to watch The Princess Bride.
All right. So we're finally gonna watch the film. So this was one of your first ideas, actually, Princess Bride, and for some reason,
well, when you mentioned that you hadn't seen it,
Yeah.
I was like, I think, like, I really want to hear what you think of this film.
Right. Yeah, I can see your point. That yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, we that was like one of the first films that we discussed maybe doing, and then one thing led to the other. You always had a new idea, but then finally you've come to the conclusion that you want to talk about this film. Any specific reason other than that this is a bright film compared to the darkness of Joker and Batman vs Superman? Why do you want to introduce this film in particular?
Well, I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know if it's underrated or something. I think it sort of became, like, that's the thing. Like, I think it was popular when it came out, but like, I think that it has maintained its sort of. It's almost like it's a weird sort of cult movie where it's like people watch it to this like today, and there are so many elements of it that are like I would say dated, but work so well in this movie.
All right.
And yeah, I really like it, and I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Once again. Yeah.
Yes, and so this is one of the few movies. So like, there are movies that I would describe as like an adventure movie or like a fantasy movie. I would describe this movie as a fairy tale movie.
I see. I mean, fairy tale fantasy is probably in the kind of the same region, I suppose.
Yeah, but you think about like Lord of the Rings is like fantasy, but not a fairy tale. You know what I mean? Whereas this is definitely more fairy tale.
A fairy tale, a fable or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like it's in a more, it's more in that sort of whimsical, I would say.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
I mean, fairy.
What do you know about The Princess Bride?
I know there's like
you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, though. I think I've seen maybe a top 10 video about something related to the film, but I can't honestly remember. I only like what I've seen from just Googling is there's definitely one actor that I recognize immediately, and it's funny because, well, Princess Bride, you said it's a fairy tale film, but it's kind of with a medieval kind of vibe or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because the main lead in the film is what's his name? Cary Elwes. Elwes.
Yeah.
Is it Elwes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cary Elwes.
I think it's pronounced that way.
Elwes. Elwes. Yeah. All right. And then I obviously noticed him, and because he was Robin Hood in Men of Tights. Which is another film that he's kind of playing a medieval character. But this is kind of funny. That film I knew about. Probably I thought that's the film that I knew about and thought he was most famous for. Well, I mean, I've never really seen anything else with him, but he did that 6 years later, after Princess Bride, and I wonder why he's hired to do Men in Tights, which is kind of it's obviously mocking this kind of a. I wonder if they're mocking. Obviously, they're mocking. What was it, Prince of Thieves, the Kevin Costner film, right? But this is similar territory, right? Princess Bride. I mean, the medieval thing, right?
kind of. Like that's the thing. Like without giving anything away, is there is a very almost self-aware tone to this movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like making fun. It's sort of like it's sort of in like rather than making fun of fantasy movies, it's like
Mhm.
someone who loves fantasy stories, but also can see like the funny, the humor of it. I don't know because I'm also trying to think of like movies that are like that I can like compare it to, and I can't think of. Like it's a really unique movie in a way that like I don't want to talk about because I guess it's technically spoilery.
I see. Yeah, fairy. I mean, I don't know what would pop into my mind if you would say fairy tale film. I mean,
There's another movie which I would categorize as a fairy tale, which is it's
I mean,
the one Legend.
Okay, Legend. I mean, there's
The one where Tim Curry plays the devil and with
yes,
Tom
yes, yes.
Cruise.
I mean, there's. I mean, the Disney films, obviously, like Snow White.
Oh
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
that, that's kind of fairy tale, I suppose. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth would be a fairy tale film.
Yes, Pan's Labyrinth would be like that's I would categorize Pan's Labyrinth as more like fairy tale rather than fantasy, even though the two are technically like the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth is definitely more fairy tale,
However,
even though it's really dark.
Yeah, that's a really dark one. So I'm guessing, yeah, I'm guessing even though it's the same category. It's probably not as, not as dark as that film. But it's so funny. I now, so I said he's most famous for what was it? I said he was most famous for Robin Hood,
Men in
Men in
Tights.
Tights. But now that I'm starting to remember. Okay, so he was in the first Saw film, for example.
Yes.
And it's a funny thing. I remember thinking back like he was I thought he was an American actor playing a British like role in Robin Hood. I don't know why I thought that for the longest time, but
He is a very
but
the thing about
he
him
is actually a British actor, and he's done roles as an American, and and then the
thing that you will notice, and this is a thing that I was thinking about watching this movie and watching Robin Hood Men in Tights, is that Cary Elwes is actually he is a fantastic comedy actor.
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say that he's really good at like he's got great comedic timing as like he's great in the straight man role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I guess what you're going with it. I mean, so like I said, he has done a lot of comedies, satires, for example, like Man in Tights. Not only that one, but he also like did Hot Shots.
That's right.
And then he has a role in Dracula, the Bram Stoker version that Francis Ford Coppola did. And then there is a role that I will never forget. Oh, look, kid, it's the Claw. It's the Claw.
Yeah.
He plays the stepdad to Jim Carrey's kid in Liar Liar, and he's just such a he comes up as really uncool in that film.
Yeah,
but,
which is like it's like when I think about like Cary Elwes is really is a really good actor, and it's a shame that he's not in more like lead roles. At least that's what I think after watching The Princess Bride for the first time.
It seemed. I mean, it's funny.
By the way, all the actors in this movie are.
Yeah,
are
so I've
fantastic.
just mentioned him. I have no idea who else is in the film. Like I haven't really.
There is one actor, and I say
Yes.
actor in quotations. Andre the Giant is in this movie.
Right, Andre the Giant. Well, he did do a couple of films. Well, that's interesting that he's in that film.
And he's fantastic in this movie.
All right.
It's like I'm wondering if he is dubbed in parts, but
Okay.
but yeah, I think that so like this movie is sort of whimsical, it's lighthearted and stuff like that. I can definitely see that some people would be like I don't know, I guess people who want serious movies about serious stuff would like not like this, but I think this movie, like I think you will appreciate the humor of this movie.
Okay, so this is actually surprising.
Mm.
I did not know this. The director of this film is pretty famous. It's Rob Reiner.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Rob Reiner, I mean that means we might actually that means that might be a really funny film.
I mean it is. The thing is, like, what I'm thinking about is.
I mean, I think comedy first with him. I don't know if like him doing a fantasy, a fairy tale. That sounds very intriguing.
Well, that's the thing. Is like when you watch it, you'll see it's like this movie is really funny in a very. It almost feels like satire or a parody, but it's not really. Like it's really on that line like.
Yeah. This is really funny. He is good friends with. I think they're really good friends. Him and Mel Brooks. Well, definitely Carl Reiner. I don't know. Yeah, but so maybe
I believe it.
Maybe maybe Mel Brooks saw his film and was like, yeah, I think I can do the same thing or something like that. I don't know. Haven't really thought that out. So, who else? Is there anyone else that you know of that have seen this film that you've talked to and shares your opinion, or do you feel like not
I don't.
Many others?
I don't know. Like most people who
have you not introduced this film to anyone else recently?
No. I'm gonna watch this with Smári.
Okay, so Smári hasn't seen it. Okay.
He hasn't seen it, but we're gonna watch it together tonight. But he's like working now. Otherwise, I think he would probably join us.
You can also let me know what he thought. Give his his comments as well. That would be interesting.
But I think most people who I know who have seen it have a positive. But also, it's like there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of, well, for one thing, it's like it's from 1987, so it's kind of, so it's a little older,
it's
but
as
today.
Old as I am.
Yeah.
How funny is that?
And so like it's not necessarily something that would like be on people's radar necessarily. But and then like that's also because like the name, The Princess Bride, it sounds like it may be like a girly movie, but
is it misleading? Do you think?
No.
Yeah,
but
Princess
but
I mean, obviously it's the bride of the princess, but like.
No, the Princess Bride.
So
like the
bride.
Princess.
Oh
yeah. So the princess is a bride.
The princess is a bride.
But,
sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, saying like like on the surface, it seems like is this sort of a girly movie? But you'll see why that is really funny. Like that's you'll see why that's a really funny perception of that movie.
All right. So it kind of yeah. When did you see it first?
I saw it first, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago.
And was there any particular reason why you decided to see this film, or?
No, I just heard that it was. I heard that it was fun and lighthearted, and it was just like movie night with me and my girlfriend at the time, and so we were like, oh, let's watch like. Because, as I said, like we didn't want to watch something like super serious, and I was like, I've heard good things about this. Let's watch it. And we both really liked it.
You kind of locked in, I suppose, to finding this film. And
well, I'd also heard that it had a bit of a cult following.
Right.
And by the way, it has a 8 stars on IMDb and like 77 on Metascore, which is pretty high.
So it seems, yeah, IMDb is usually that's the people speaking, I suppose. But so yeah, they're ranking that film pretty high then. That's really good actually. Like the top 10 films, like the top 250 films, like they they're around that area, 8 point something. So
Yeah.
interesting.
And I think you will like it. The thing that I'm curious about is like,
Would you be
what
really? Would
parts
you be
will-
okay? Would you be really surprised if I didn't like this one?
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so far it's been home run after home run, but I always wonder.
By
like,
the way, you should watch
yeah.
this. You could definitely watch this with your family. Like,
yeah,
I'm
it sounds like
pretty
this is
sure.
a good film to watch all together. Everyone would have fun watching it. Yeah. Also, it kind of fits. I'm in a fantasy fairy tale mood, I suppose, playing all these role playing games. So,
That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
Kind of fits. Will fit well in, I suppose. Anything else I should know about the film before watching it? Anything that's, well, maybe I should know that, but wouldn't spoil it for me. I mean, do you want to tell me anything
No, it's
about any
just like-
other actors, or is it just good to know about these two?
Carrie Elways is in
Yeah.
it.
And Andre the Giant,
There's a lot of.
and then Carl
there's
Reiner.
just
Yeah,
a-
he's the director.
Carrie.
A
There's a
writer.
lot of like
Director.
very distinct actors.
Distinct.
Distinct.
Okay.
And also like distinct actors and distinct characters.
Okay. So the
And-
rememberable characters. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds.
And you can
very
definitely
interesting.
see that sort of vein of Rob Reiner humor.
Yeah,
through
that's.
it, but-
I'm kind of. Yeah, that's kind of the surprising part. Looking at the, I didn't want to look over the actors. Just a little bit about the film, and the first thing that popped up was Rob Reiner. So that will be interesting to see. Okay, I think without further ado, we'll just put this on pause as usual, and then I'll go watch the film. And once we're back, I'll give you my review of it. All right. Okay, let's end it here then.
Alright, are we pausing?
We're gonna start pausing. So pause. Pause.
Oh no, it's the pause.
I did that on purpose. I don't have to miss.
I believe you. So what happens now?
We face each other as God intended. Sportsmanlike. No tricks, no weapons. Skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword and we'll try and kill each other like civilized people?
I can kill you now.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor at hand fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise.
Look, are you just fiddling around with me or what?
I just want you to feel you're doing well. I hate for people to die on bad. You're quick.
A good thing, too.
Were you wearing a mask? Were you burned by acid or something like that?
Oh, no, it's just they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
I just feared when you give me so much trouble.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person for so long. Been specializing in groups, battling gangs for local charities, that kind of thing.
Why should that make such a difference?
When you see, you use different moves when you're fighting. Half a dozen people. Then we only have to be one. About one.
All right, we are back. I've just finished watching the film, and Egill, you watched it last night with Smauri, right?
Oh no, I just watched it by myself.
Oh, you
But
did
was,
it by just by yourself. All right.
yeah.
So you were able to review the film as well. All right. Without further ado, we're gonna talk about the film with spoilers and everything. So we need the usual. Well, not usual. It's always the spoiler alert. So if you have not seen this film, if you wish to see it before we spoil it for you, then I suggest you should put this podcast on pause, go watch the film, and then come back to this part of the podcast to listen to our spoiler-filled review. If you don't care about spoilers, then just listen and yeah, don't bother pausing or anything. Just go with the flow, as we say. Anyways, I like I said, finished watching the Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride.
That is correct.
Yes. And I guess what's your takeaway? Just your first reaction.
What should I say? Should I say the words that pop into my head? Weird, quirky, funny at times, but pacing, there's several pacing problems, and overall, like, is that it? Because it's not a bad film per se, but like, we talked about it having an 8 point something rating on IMDb, and that seems a little bit too much. After the first view, I don't know. Maybe I was not in the mood or something, or maybe maybe it would have worked better on me when I was younger. But I was like, maybe I had too many expectations for this film after our first chat. Maybe it like I said, it's not bad. It is funny. It has its. I can see why people like it, but for me, it was like, yeah, I'm not sure if it's that great, but you know, it wasn't like, it was not like an enjoyable experience, but maybe slightly overrated.
Perhaps.
Perhaps I
oversold it, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe I had complete different expectations that I ought to have for that film, because it was kind of it was didn't really it was completely, I was going completely blind into this film, knowing very little about it, and so obviously I start to have my kind of thoughts about what could possibly happen in this film, and honestly, I was surprised from the get-go. The beginning, like, oh, we're just in the modern world. There's this kid sick and bad, and all of a sudden, here comes Columbo, and he's going to read a story, and then I was like, okay, this is very interesting, and yeah, I was kind of intrigued, and then there's this part. I'm starting, like, after the so if we just go over the plot, the farm boy, did we get his name again? What was it? Murphy? No, what was it? What was his name again? Huh? Wesley. Yeah. I don't know why I said Murphy, but okay. So he falls in love with this girl called Buttercup, and they want to get married, but he intends to go on a quest to get rich so they can afford the like marriage, and then
like the old fairy tale stories.
Yeah, caught by pirates, assumed killed, but we find out that he actually became what was the name of the pirate?
The Dread Pirate Roberts.
The Dread Pirate Roberts, yes, and he comes back, but he was a little bit shocked to know that she was engaged to the king, the future king of the what's the name of it was not England, it was something else,
Florin.
right? Yeah, it was funny because that's they used real names for like Spain and Greenland and and Sicily. Yeah, there was a Sicilian guy, but then it was like they were in the imaginary land, so that was kind of a weird mix-up. But yeah, that part with the three. So obviously, Andre the Giant. It was very peculiar to see him, and he was pretty funny in this film. He was probably one of my favorite characters, I think.
Yeah,
And it was
definitely.
definitely his voice. You can definitely hear. You were thinking it might have been
yes.
dubbed or not. No.
Well-
That is Andre talking. And
Well,
I mean,
the thing that
Yeah.
I'm wondering is if it is if he had to like dub himself afterwards, because like I'm watching him
yeah.
talk, and it feels almost like his mouth doesn't match his movement
Yeah.
in some cases. But either like that was just like I just thought it was
I mean,
funny.
it's obvious he's not a professional actor. He's a wrestler, for Christ's sake. But
Yeah, exactly.
but he was very I definitely had. I thought he was an interesting character in this film, along with the Spaniards as well. But there was just something about when he started to follow up the three guys. Yeah, he had that he fought the Spaniard, and then he ended up choking out Andre the Giant, which seemed a little bit ridiculous. But I thought, I don't know, maybe it was the pacing or something. I was getting I was not as excited about the film at that point like I was at the beginning. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the pacing that got me or something. That guy, I was also getting annoyed with the small bald guy. I was like, who is that guy? I'm like,
Oh, Vicini.
yeah. I was like, wasn't sure who it was. I kind of looked at him. He looked weird. I feel like I've seen him before, but the voice was like, who is that? And then finally,
What?
yeah, Rex from Toy Story. Then it made perfect sense why I recognized the voice so much. But yeah, I kind of I was maybe I don't know, maybe I was hoping for more action, which I should have not, because it's not that kind of a film. Maybe, yeah, like I said, my expectations maybe were a little bit off compared to what kind of a film I was going to watch. Like that could be the case, I suppose. But but like I said, it's not unenjoyable, but like, yeah, I guess overall it's yeah, I guess I thought it could be it was gonna be a little bit better, I suppose. But it's kind of kind of a downer comment, I suppose.
That's all right. It's I wonder if it's a movie that grows on you.
Yeah, I wonder. That's
Because it's a thing about me where as the first time I saw it, I kind of liked it, and then like there's a lot of scenes in it that are like sort of stuck in my mind.
I guess there are small weird things in between. And it's like, okay, that's kind of funny, but then at some point, I think the film ends up. So there's the seriousness and the comedic, element of the film, right?
Yes.
I feel like the film is kind of ending up between those genres, and it's like maybe it's having a hard time deciding which one to kind of lean on, if that makes sense.
I think it's deliberately like leaning on both. Like it's not confused as to what it's trying to be. Like it's because you have to remember, like, it's being read out. Like it's in the movie, it's literally a book being read out.
It's a book being read out, and it comes off as a book, definitely. And honestly, like I haven't even looked up if it's actually a book or not. Do you know if it's an actual book or is this just completely made up for the film?
I think it's completely made up.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so okay, the setup is this grandfather reading a story to the kid, and him interrupting him from time to time about not being the typical fairy tale way,
not
I suppose.
Being action enough. It's like,
yeah,
what is
or-
this?
and
A
then he'll
kissing story?
Yeah, kissing, and then but when he gets into the book, he actually complains also about like wait, he's not gonna get away with it, or
Yeah.
wait,
exactly.
they're not gonna get married, like so.
Yes.
We have that interaction in between. So I guess I mean,
I guess there's one question. Did your parents or someone like did someone read like stories to you when you were young?
I mean, yeah, I remember being read stories, and I remember especially the now my memory's going blank, but yeah, I had that experience when I was younger, and I'm trying to be more active that way with my daughter as well. I have the comic book of the. Do you remember Valhalla, the cartoon?
Oh yeah.
The comic.
What I'm
book
saying
series.
is that
I'm trying to read that for her as well.
I'm saying for me, this movie sort of reminds me of, it puts me a lot in that feeling of like, it's that type of like I'm thinking of. Now I don't know what the English word name like Bróðir minn Ljónshjarta.
Ah, yeah. Isn't that isn't that an Icelandic novel?
No, that's a Swedish novel.
Is that a Swedish novel? Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Never mind. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm mixing up novels now. Sorry.
Yeah, but
Right.
like it's that sort of like very, like, just these very short, like simple stories that you don't need like world building or like lore or stuff like. It's just like this small story.
Yeah.
And
True.
And I like that, and I like it in this movie. And there's a lot of lines that just make me smile a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're really everything. I don't know. It's the simple line of when they're planning their attack.
Yeah.
And just Andre the Giant was like, Inigo, I hope we win. I just really, there's something about that line. Makes me.
I definitely agree with Andre being the one. Like, he definitely kept it funny throughout the film. There are other scenes that I mean. So there's a scene with Billy Crystal in this film.
Yeah.
And that's
ridiculous.
At that point, yeah. Then I was kind of thinking, okay, what exactly are you trying to do with this film here? Because I do wonder, like, is that being written for Billy, or is Billy now improvising at some point? It was very Billy Crystal-esque kind of humor, and the way he was approaching this character. It was like an old Jew from New York, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He got that way of speaking.
Yeah. But yeah. So, like I say, quirky, funny scenes in between, but then at the end, I was like, I don't know. Maybe in the whole of the film comes off kind of. I don't want to say incomplete. That would be a weird way to describe it. But
inconsistent.
Maybe that's probably it. Yeah, inconsistent. But then again, you said it was a fairy tale, but you also said it was it was a sort of a comedy. Well, I mean, comic elements.
Well,
in this
there
film.
is.
Yeah.
There is, like, because as I remember saying, like, it feels almost like it almost feels like a parody without being actually a parody. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking about specific scenes. I'm thinking about like when Vizzini drinks the poison and then he's like laughing, then he just stops laughing and he's just literally
Yeah. That was
leans
kind of
out
a
of
weird.
frame.
Yeah.
Well, like because that's kind of because I can acknowledge or that looks dumb,
Yeah.
but I think that is really funny. Just like I'm just gonna lean out of frame, and like when they're in the fire swamp and he's like, rodents of unusual size. We don't need to worry about that. Then
Well,
it like
she didn't even
jumps
say that.
into. No, I don't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
She said
It-
like what? Yeah, rodents of unusual size, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she said, "What about the ROUSs?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what? The ROU? Such a weird. Like during medieval time, they were using phrase. Would they would use that kind of a phrase?
Yeah, but if you think about like, but if you think about like it's a classic, it's a rule of cinema, and it's
Yeah.
usually like it would be like because if you think about where he's looking in the scene, like he
Yeah.
would obviously see the rat coming from where he's looking, but the thing is like it's all about that sort of the frame, like he only sees what the audience sees.
Mm.
And it's a rule that was much more common in like silent era movies,
Yeah.
where you would do jokes, that only make sense from like the perspective of the audience.
Mm.
And there is a lot of that in this movie. I like the fact that, like in the early part where he's climbing up the cliffs of insanity. I also just like the
And that
I
was
like-
that was not unrealistic at all. That how Andre the Giant just kind of had the two of them and just slowly, gradually just pulled himself up with no.
Yes, and then he was like, "Keep climbing." He's like, I'm carrying 3 people.
He's so calm speaking.
Yeah, it's such a
big meaning.
it's it's the archetype of like the gentle giant.
Yeah. Yeah. But then the main role, the main lead as a what was his name? Carrie Elways, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the film, when he's the farm boy, and then when he first comes back as the pirate, I thought, wow, his manner is he's much more serious, and he's taking he's actually taking this role seriously, right? Which I thought, oh, this is so different from how it was in Robin Hood when it was obviously silly, upbeat medieval English type, but this was much actually he's actually playing a hero here, but then through the quirky moments start to happen more and more often, especially after he wakes up from, I don't know, what was that torture thing, by the way?
I don't know. They were sucking his life out.
Just, first I thought, okay, there's suction going on, maybe like one of those really tight suctions on the body that can really leave a spot. I don't know if that's a torture or what, but then it's like, I just took 1 year of your life or something. Like, wait, what? Okay. And then he went up to 50. So it's like, what, is he then dead? Like, he lost 50 years?
Yeah, it's like, that's like pure, because if you think about it from the perspective of like, the grandpa who's reading the book, like, that, him reading it out could just be the machine.
Yeah.
There's like, and that's sort of one of the thing that when I'm watching the movie, like as I said, like this is the third time I've seen this movie.
Oh, I see. So it's
it is like, to me, it's like this is what like the kid is seeing in his head, like as the story is being read out.
So yeah, we're seeing his weird images of the story.
It's like his imagination, which is why like things like look kind of weird and look almost fake. But I guess, like as I said, like I can definitely understand people who don't either don't appreciate that or like, as I said, like can't get beyond like the inconsistency. Like for me, I can definitely just like go with the flow of the film. I don't think you're wrong in your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's really the only thing that's really bothering me. I mean, I'm
Like,
well,
would
I'm
you have-
trying to understand what it is with me that because I felt like I want to like this film, but it's not really. I'm not really completely 100% in here, and I'm guessing it's because of the how it kind of took twists and turns from being taking itself seriously and then being rather silly at times, but I mean, I loved, like I said, the characters are fun. Like I said, Andre the Giant. By the way, Mel Smith is a he's a famous British comedian. He
plays a gross person.
Gross. What was it, an albino or something?
Yeah, the albino.
Yeah. Is that politically
every time
incorrect
he's on-
today to play an albino?
I don't know, but every time he's on screen, I'm just going like, ugh.
There's a scene with him in Filthy Rich and Cat Flap. Have you ever seen Filthy Rich and Cat Flap?
I know of it. I have not seen it.
You should definitely. It's complete. I mean, talk about a scene that would just slap the Me Too people in the face. It's
no.
Get us a cups of coffee, love. And she brings 2 cups of coffee and he smacks her on them behind. And then immediately, they haven't even drunk the coffee she brought in. Get us another cup of coffee, love. It's just keeps bringing coffee, getting slapped on the butt. It's just a weird scene. And then, and he's been in so much. He's not the 9 o'clock news and yeah. So I was. It's fun to see those recognizable faces, and I loved the gag in the beginning. He was starting to talk really weird, but then he went back to
like that. That to me is like that's parody territory. Like that's parody joke.
Right.
Like where he said it's like and then he talks normally.
Yeah.
Like the and like when they go to the wizard's hut, like they go to the witches or the wizard's hut, and he's like talking all weird and then he has a wife who's also a witch, and they both look horrible.
Very old and ugly. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so I watched it with a family.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was interested. But my daughter watched a little bit at the beginning, but then she just went off and started playing. So it did not. I mean, it's obviously not in her language, but still, there have been films that have completely captured her, right? Like this was not the case. And obviously, maybe visually, there's nothing like really grand happening. I mean, the swamp thing was a little bit interesting, but then I was like, I don't know. Then I started thinking about what is actually the connection to the swamp thing and the actual story. Then I took it maybe too seriously. If you could look at it that way.
Possibly.
I was wondering why is he talking about like he knows the sound before the fire comes up. And it's such a weird thing. A swamp where suddenly you'll hear a sound and fire shoots up out of the ground.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But then again,
if you think about it logically, it makes no goddamn sense. But
then
it's like a fantasy fairy tale swamp. Like how many stories have we read about like an evil swamp?
Yeah. Well, I did learn. Like there's a critic that says that once you start asking yourself these questions during a film, it means you're losing like interest in what actually is happening, like the actual plot. So, but then again, he fought the rodent, and then he heard the sound. It was like, oh, now I can twist the rodent. So at that point, it's like, okay, now it makes a little bit more sense. But like I said, those I thought something funny would come out of that, but he just got seriously injured instead, and then he got
The thing
caught.
that-
It was like
The thing that I'm
yeah.
wondering, because like this, like the structure of this story feels to me like a lot of those books that I would read as younger,
Yeah.
when I was younger. And the thing that I'm wondering is sort of because it's made in 1887.
87. Yes.
Yes.
As old
So
as I
I'm
am.
wondering, yes, as old as you are. So what I'm wondering is that, I guess it's also like if you can look at its age and see like the special effects and everything, which I think are in service of like the mood, the sort of childhood, this child story being told. But I guess like some people might be put off with that, especially like compared to modern movies, which have
Yeah.
like all the fancy schmancy graphics.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, though. The first film that you introduced to me, Big Trouble in Little China, definitely worked better for me.
Mm.
And I think it's because it said, we're going all in on the silliness.
Yes.
I
It
think-
like rather than like
Yeah.
write like in your opinion, rather than writing a line, they went all
Yeah.
the way in
Yeah,
on
yeah,
one
yeah.
side.
Yeah. Even though, because that film was also like, there's a serious plot line happening in some ways, but
Yes.
you actually definitely get the silliness. I mean, I keep talking about that part where you've had these three godlike guys that have been fighting, and then all of a sudden there's a monster as well with no
Yes, yes,
explanation.
yes.
Like, I don't know, maybe that kind of all in silliness probably. I wonder if that would have made it work better for me or something. Maybe in the swamp they would have just something ridiculous might have happened to him. Like I thought, like the quicksand thing. I thought maybe they were gonna go somewhere else, right? But then he just went in there, and then the rodent came, went away, and then they got back out. It was like, I don't know. I thought something else might happen, or maybe it. After seeing a couple of gags, then that was so kind of such a plain scene, I suppose, compared to what had happened before. Yeah. So
Maybe.
yeah.
I wonder about
Life? No.
Well, I just wonder about the sort of the like why these things don't bother me, because I don't think you're wrong, but
Yeah.
it's like
Well, I mean, we're all cut from the different cloth, I suppose. But
I
is that-
I
don't
guess
even
it's
know
like
that's-
a
We're from the same. Aren't we from the same cloth if we're cousins? I don't know.
I don't know how that
I don't-
actually.
I have no
the-
idea. I'm
the-
massacring some saying that I have no idea how it's supposed to be.
yes,
it's
the birds
supposed to
are
be,
always
yeah.
greener under the other guy's bushes.
Yeah, maybe it might be. Maybe it depends on the mood you're also in. I wonder. Like, I just
Yeah.
sat here after. I wonder. I was kind of took a little nap after I went shopping at Costco, which is far away and quite, and it takes quite the toll. And then I thought, okay, I'll just before. Before the evening, I'll finish watching the film and see if and let's see if we'll watch it with the family and see if they enjoy it or not. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's a film that would be great with a couple of drinks during the night. Could be maybe it's more fun to watch.
I'm
it that
also
way, or-
wondering if like if it's just aged in a way where like maybe if I had prefaced it more as like it's a bit off its time, so take that into consideration. Maybe that would have. But because it's definitely not. It's not that super action. It's
No.
not like that.
Well, the
Super
thing- I guess
production.
the thing maybe the thing that I would say bother me, but I find really weird is that 8.0 ranking on IMDb. That's really high compared to.
The thing that I'm wondering, because I think that a lot of people who watch this movie have
Yeah.
a very similar feeling to me, and
Yeah.
maybe, well, I guess we'll see. Maybe it's like it'll take some time, and maybe like the movie will grow on you. Like maybe you will think about it.
Yeah,
Like because
maybe
it kind of did with
yeah.
me. Like there's not like many movies where
Yeah.
that I wanna watch again. Like
Yeah.
maybe just a lot of people associate it with like that sort of good feeling because it is a really good feeling movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's not super heavy or
I'll
dark
give
and
it
stuff.
that. You have moments where you think it's gonna go depressing and dark. Like she got married. Wait, he's not gonna. He's dead. Like you actually have moments like, okay, this is gonna maybe not be such a fantasy ending as you would think should normally be. And the kid, little Fred Savage, complains about like, no, is he dead? He can't be dead. Like. But it turns out all is well in the end. So
Like
it was
all
good trickery,
good fairy tales.
Yeah. So you kind of able to trick me there, but I just maybe I wonder if it's just one of those cases where I'm the one, that's not getting it right.
Maybe
There's the my
maybe
favorite
like
critic of all time. The thing that I cannot understand with him. He does not like. He thinks Big Lebowski is overrated, and I, for the love of me, cannot understand his opinion. I think Big Lebowski. That's a film I just think it's one of the great cult films out there, and just definitely I saw it once, and then it just grew on me once more. Once I saw it again and again and again, and just I can quote it all the time. I love every scene in that film. So maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's the same for you with this film, but I can see how if the film affected you that way, then you can well, I guess that's what happens with these cult films overall. It's just like the gradual. What would you say? It gradually becomes more you can
popular,
get more
I guess,
attached more popular, get more attached to it, I suppose. So
I guess like in sort of closing it's like the movie charmed me, but it doesn't seem like that it charmed you because like I can go a long way for with charm, like if a movie is charming.
yeah I see what you mean.
I guess that's a really subjective quality.
Yeah, if a movie can charm, that might be based on the person, if when it comes to if a movie can charm you or not. But I mean, I guess like the first two episodes we did, right? We both started with films that were really are one of our favorites we've seen so many times throughout the years, and were definitely charming films. And we seem to with the Mad Adventures of Rabbi Jacob and what's his name? Big Trouble in
Big Trouble. Yep.
In Little China. It seemed we seemed to understand what was happening there, why it became as popular as it was. But yeah, maybe it's just the case of me not seeing over the fence. I'm still using words that I'm still using phrases that doesn't make any sense. No, I like, maybe I'm just colorblind on this film or whatever. But
that's all right.
Yeah, would you count this as a? Would you count this as a failure then, or because I wouldn't say I don't like the film. I would not say
no.
that.
I'm not. I'm not inclined.
This is
I'm
more
not.
yeah.
Like I would say that it would be a failure if you hated it, but yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no hate. Definitely no hate, and definitely it's a likable film. Like let's say if you would have said it gets a 7 on IMDb, I would have been like, yeah, makes perfect sense. But yeah, maybe maybe it's the. Maybe it's the same thing that happened to Gate with the with the Parasite. I suppose it's a little bit. Yeah, it's good, but I'm not getting that.
There is a lot of there is a lot of in movie perception of like what do you go into the movie with?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
especially with like older movies, it can be tricky.
I wonder, like, if this would have been like me, at home alone on a Saturday night, just watching TV. All of a sudden, this movie pops up with me not knowing anything, watching it, and then like that may have been maybe more surprising, I suppose. It's like, wow, that's exactly weird film. But yeah, maybe sometimes I guess we could, we might have to be careful with the pre-chats if we're not completely overselling what we want us to see. But then, but that's kind of the base of this podcast. We want to see if it is the same reaction to the film as the person who is introducing it, got felt back in the day, I suppose. But yeah, like I mean, I might check it out again. Not in a. It might be quite some time, but who knows? But I think I would rather if I'm going to see any of the films that you've introduced to me again, I'm probably going to rather see Big Trouble in Little China sooner than this film, I think. And
it's a funny thing because these two movies are movies that I've seen several times.
Yeah.
And I would say there's definitely elements of like noticing stuff that you didn't notice the first time.
Yeah.
So maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, it's not a bad film. It's not like a complete failure. It actually, and it's funny. It's definitely, well, I guess maybe it's funny, but it's quite the scene, it's quite the scenes between those funny scenes. Does that make any sense?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So honestly, I would have wanted just to see more of Andre the Giant, this, they kind of, after he tricks them, they kind of fall out of the center of the film and then just show up at the end when they're gonna invade the castle. So
I like all the scenes where the characters are talking. Like they're all really witty and charming.
Yeah. No doubt about that, man. And it's definitely intriguing actors that show up. There is one that I did laugh a lot of. Now that I think about it, there's one that I did laugh a lot of, but I couldn't stop thinking about another film, and that's the scene with Peter Cook as the priest.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really funny, but then I was like, this is actually the same gag as in Life of Brian. Do you remember the gag in Life of Brian with the Terry?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't Terry Gilliam? Yeah, I think it's Terry Gilliam. No, wait, no.
No, it's
no.
Palin.
It's Michael Palin. He's playing the Roman.
The Emperor.
Not the Emperor, but he's playing like, what do you call it? Well, he's like
the official.
The official for Rome in Jerusalem, and there's that scene. He said he's a Roman, and a woman.
A woman.
It sounds like woman. So that completely is turning the R's into W's. What was it? He said, there were many words that sound just ridiculous, but yeah. It was funny to see him in that film. Like, wasn't he always with Dudley Moore? I think so.
Right.
Yeah, Beyond the Fringe. It was a comedy group, I think, back in the day. But yeah, So that was funny, but like I said, funny film, what with weird, quirky scenes. But maybe it could have, maybe was expecting. Well, maybe I should have not expected so much, but I mean, not bad, not at all. But I would give it a 6.5, 7 rather than 8, I suppose.
All right.
If I'm being fair, so
I think that's fair.
yeah. All right. Well, that's it then for. I mean, you didn't watch this with Smiley, so you didn't have any other perspective from anyone
No,
else.
I didn't have his reaction.
Yeah, and you don't remember showing it to someone else before and seeing how they reacted, or
No.
Well, we'll see. Maybe you will try that. Try it the next time you'll watch it. Try to get Smiley or someone else.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this we'll end this here. Hopefully next time, like I said before, I really want to do King of Comedy, if possible. Hopefully we can do that next and see how that goes.
I would really like to try to find another bad movie to watch.
Oh.
But try to find because I had so much fun talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean,
so I'm trying to think of like a movie that's bad in that way.
Then there's the future project that we haven't really discussed about yet, but the possibility of watching something live together. It would not be a live stream, but it would be a live version of the show that I would edit, obviously, afterwards.
Like just a reaction thing.
And
live reaction.
That would be, it would be interesting what kind of a film we could watch then. I've seen certain...
There's been a lot of good suggestions.
There's a lot of good suggestions for that. So we'll see what would happen then. But anyways, whatever happens. So just stay tuned for more episodes of What's This on the JLR Podcast Network. Ed, thanks a lot for introducing this film.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and we'll hopefully bring you something new soon as possible. Until next time, you guys take care. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.